Hi ladies, I'm Susanna Philbey. I'm a life directions planner and I'm here today with Dee Scown, and she is going to talk to us about her life and her knowledge to help women over 50 support themselves. So here's a little bit about Dee. Dee is a mother, wife and daughter who has managed and owned many successful businesses over her lifetime. She's also a coach and author of her book, Grand Planned Shattered: How to Turn Your Life Around After a Crisis. Her sole purpose is to set women free from the constraints that have held them back in their lives. Her own journey has been her greatest teacher. Raised by an emotionally and intellectually abusive father, she went on to make amazingly poor life decisions, each time learning lessons slowly but surely the hard way. She has held many high-level corporate roles whilst doing the classic wife and mother work, which then led her to being diagnosed with ME and CFS, leaving her bedridden for 18 months, unable to care for herself. Slowly, she found ways to regain most of her health, and whilst being unable to do much physically, the brain was ticking over, trying to come up with ways to contribute to the family finances. Dee says that when we are so busy managing the lives of others, we can lose our authentic selves. Hands reaching out to pull me back up to where I belong, using her story of skills from education and corporate work, and in the last 2 decades running family businesses. We are the sum of who we mix with, she says, and I have had the most wonderful people come into my life to expand my thinking in recent years. Through all her experiences, Dee can help others find their way, also using the knowledge of being a master coach with the SMJ Coaching Institute. Dee loves working with women who want more in their lives, those who are prepared to step up and be open to change. I am their guide, she says, and my skills lie in intuitively knowing what to ask to get them to dig deep and find the answers that fit their needs. Welcome, Dee, to our program.
Thank you, Susanna. I love what you're doing. Thank you for inviting me. I'm really honoured to be here.
Oh, thank you, Dee. That's lovely, and we're honoured to have you. I've known Dee for a little while. When I was starting my business, she offered to help me out, and that was a lovely offer. And I met with her and another lady, Di Brennan, in Port Pirie, which is about an hour for me, just to give me some support and some emotional help and some help with social media and all things like that. So it's lovely to still have Dee in my life, and we're going to have lunch with the other group of ladies in about a week and a half. So that's fabulous. My question to you, Dee, to start the conversation would be, from your experience and knowledge, what do you know that would support women over 50 years to enrich their lives?
I think the first thing that we need to do is to actively change our mindsets. We've come out of often been raised by 50s housewives, and life has changed a lot over that time. And there's a lot of constraints that we've been raised with that no longer fit life. So I think often we have beliefs that say that we should be doing this, that, or the other, often sitting at home and retiring. But some of us don't want to do that. And a lot of us can't afford to do that. And the only way to work out what direction to go is to first change those mindsets and beliefs, those limiting beliefs that no longer fit the world. So
I totally believe that, because I was one of those with these beliefs that I got married at 20, married a farmer, and I was going to do washing, cooking and cleaning for the rest of my life. And I am absolutely gobsmacked that that's not where I'm going.
Okay.
So I actually, yes, I'm working through all that mindset now, because everyone around me is retiring, if you like, and doing the so-called normal things, and I'm not, and I never expected that from me. But anyway, it's always a lesson to learn as we get older, that's for sure. So how have these constraints limited women?
Well, like you, we were told marry well, not worry about money, so we thought we didn't have to worry about that. It was our husband's responsibility. Many worked so that they could offer extra support to their children, like college fees. But the work was rarely a passion or an interest. It was considered useful for that time and would end later, so the wife could then tend to the husband's needs. And life has changed so much. You're fortunate are still with your husband, but many women have come out of broken marriages. They don't have the funding. They do have to work, but they don't want to work drudgery because they've been doing that as housewives for many years, possibly already. So, and this was even borne out by governments. Superannuation was not offered to female staff in governments when it first started out. It was only offered to the men.
Yeah.
And when divorces started to happen, they didn't split the superannuation. The men got to keep it. So there's a lot of stuff that's changed and then had a negative impact on women in particular. So it's hogtied us in a lot of ways, and we need to break that.
Yes,
very much so.
And especially on farms too, because the women tend to go onto the men's farm, and they probably will now, but they haven't had formal super contributions in place. So it is quite difficult if a woman wants to leave, and all the super's tied up in the farm and the families and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I think things are getting better.
Yes.
How has that impacted on women moving forward, do you think?
Well, that places us a long way behind in men for financial security, for starters, but also we live longer than men. So we're going to need financial security for a longer period. And sadly, homeless women older women is one of the fastest demographics growing in that area. Yeah. So we need to find out what drives us, what we love to do, and turn that into something that can become an income. With the advent of the internet and things like Zoom meetings, there's so many opportunities out there now. It's just that many don't know what they are. So, we really need to get the word out there that there are some possibilities out there. I'm not suggesting that we have to work full time either. I still have MECFS. I'm unable to work a 40-hour week. So we need to be smart about this. We're older. We have other limitations possibly. So we need to be able to work for shorter hours for better dollars and make sure those dollars are protected from the influence of others. So we're also coming up where there's a lot of children who are taking from parents, and that's sadly growing as well. And women, once again, are the largest number of victims in this.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, I never, and regrettably, or in a good way, Zoom has come to the party so much, and I have learnt heaps over Zoom, being able to connect a whole lot more. And who would have thought that would have been happening in our lives as we get older, that we could connect more over a computer and run a business over a computer. It's just crazy.
Exactly.
It's come at our time, which is good.
Yes.
How else can they enrich their lives?
Look, I made the mistake of being a fixer of everything, and I know women do this all the time. That's one of those beliefs that we need to fix it, and it doesn't work. We've seen seemingly raised children and husbands who are less resilient, and they're frequently reliant on us continually doing that fixing. And my husband slips back into that frequently too. And sort of leaves things. So we need to learn to build those boundaries, but keep those boundaries firm. So a little extra wire around the top with the barbed wires. So I want every woman to enrich her life with what she loves to do. Now, it could be a craft thing, it could be anything. Most of us in the beginning will not have a clue, because I didn't. I didn't know what I liked to do. I didn't know what I liked to watch on TV, because everything was about everybody else.
Yes.
And so often that's women do that. They just give everything up. And you've got to step back and wind back time a little bit, go through and say, was there something I really enjoyed doing? You know, and are there avenues for that to turn into either a business or a small, even if it's a small income, to boost things, to, make life more interesting, make life worth living, instead of sometimes getting resentful of everybody because you feel like you're giving, you feel like they're taking. Yeah. But the reality is that you're giving because you're not having your boundaries up. Yeah. So I want every woman, to enrich their lives with what they love to do. Yeah. So,
I don't think we knew we didn't know what we didn't know, and we didn't know we had a choice. So I think, that's been interesting learning, because from my parents, it was very conventional. Peter's parents were very conventional, and I didn't really know I had a choice. I just thought my job was to toe the line, and that continued even up until my father passed 4 years ago, because my mum would say, I'd say something and she'd say, you can't say that to Dad. And, Dad took it all right. I think it was a bit, Mum was trying to protect him or something or other, but we really didn't know we could have a choice and put up boundaries. That's a little bit of a revelation, I think. Or revelation? No, revelation.
Revelation, yes. Did you have that terminology, it's the done thing?
Yes, absolutely.
I had that a lot as a child. We go to church on Sundays because it's the done thing.
It's the done
You do it this way because.
Yes.
And I think that's imposed on female children more than any others over the years. Yeah. So, I think we can take a leaf out of our younger peers.
Yes.
We should be learning off the younger women and saying, okay,
I think
stop
we are.
and look at what they're doing.
Yes. Yeah. I think we are. And yes, their lives can be totally different when there's a lot of participation in the household, something that, I'm just not used to. But and sometimes that happens on the second time round in marriages, I've found too. The second partner is a lot more in the sharing of the household duties, or the sharing of everything. I think it's because the woman leaves and they've both decided that perhaps they need to do something different to make this second partnership work better. I don't know, but that's what I see anyway.
And there's a lot of partnerships that don't. Yeah. And there's a lot of partnerships that no longer cohabit.
Yes.
I have a number of older friends who don't live with their permanent partner. They live in separate houses because we're a bit sick of raising our husbands or partners. So, and that's okay too.
Yes.
Do what works for you. You don't have to comply with some other form of social convention.
Yeah. And I thought that was my lot, and I thought I'd get used to it and just get into the swing of it. And you just get up Monday morning and do the washing and everything else. And I'm thinking, wow, I haven't got used to this cleaning thing and washing thing, and I don't really want to do it anymore. But who's going to do it? I've got to get someone that loves to do it.
Earn enough to pay a cleaning lady.
That's right.
If that's your first goal, do it.
It is, I'm just over it. I'd rather do this than that. Yes.
Yeah.
How have you enriched your life in later years?
Well, I surprisingly got back into horses. So I hadn't ridden in many, many years. I've always been a horse lover. I tried to get my daughter into it when she was about 4 and she hated it. So I just dropped it. Sacrifice, you give it up. No one else is interested. I'll just drop it. And when yeah, I think I was just depressed and needed something, and realized that I needed to do something I like. So I have 2 horses here. Because of my health, I'm unable to ride very much, but I do groundwork with them, and just being with them is just fantastic.
Yeah.
But I felt guilty.
Yes.
My first words when my husband and I discussed this were, I can't have a horse. And he said, why not? We don't have fencing. Well, we'll put fences up. Oh, but I can't afford it. Yeah, we can afford it. Like, I felt guilty spending the money on something I have a passion for.
Yes.
And I didn't actually get sick until 6 months after I got my horse. And had I not had him, I would not have had a reason to try and get well, because there was nothing in my life except working for others, picking up after others, doing for others. And that was the one thing that kept me wanting to get healthy. So, so I really had to change my mindset then.
Yeah.
And that started the journey. And I didn't start to change my business direction until later. So.
Wow. It's like a big horse, like a big dog, I suppose, it gives you unconditional love and cuddles and all that.
No, they're not that much like
okay.
dogs, sadly. But they have, the connection is there, but it's not dog-like.
Okay. They do nuzzle
special.
you. And
horsey people love the smell of horse. So I actually, when I was very ill, I had thought about getting rid of my horse, and I realised that I needed him. And I said, if I end up in a wheelchair, but all I can do is go outside and see him every day, that will be enough. So I got to that sort of, okay, well, let's set the bottom bar and then work on how we can get above that.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Oh, beautiful. All right. They're not like a big Great Dane then. They're sort of.
No, they're not.
You can't. They're not allowed inside either.
Yeah, they're not really.
What other suggestions can you give to women?
Firstly, hang with positive people, please. Don't allow the negativity of others to drag you down. Find more positive people if you're surrounded by naysayers. Often when you're talking about what you want to do, most of the people around you will go, you can't do that. Find those people that will support you, or at least stand back and allow you to be you. That's probably the first point. The second one, control your mental input. If you're watching too much news at the moment, switch it off. If you're looking at too many negative things on Facebook or some other platform, unfollow people that are really spewing all the nasty stuff out. You can switch them off for 30 days, or you can just unfollow. But don't allow social media news and constantly whining people to impact on you, because they will bring you down and down and down. And if you do get down, seek help if you need it. At the moment with COVID constantly coming back up into the picture, doctors are very happy to support people with mental health plans and things like that. If you go on a mental health plan, you get your medical appointments for free. If you need help, go and get it. It's there for a reason.
And I don't know if that message is getting through or not. People still do seem to be reluctant to get help, and that's one of the things that somehow we have to get rid of, that stigma that if you're sick with something else, it seems to be okay, but people don't seem to know how to handle mental health problems. And I actually think all of us have got it, or have had it at least once in their life somewhere. And that's okay, whether it comes from grief or whatever. Yes, it's okay. It's part of life.
That's right. It is a physical condition. There is an imbalance in the chemicals in the brain that causes depression, and constant strain or negativity can create that.
Yes.
So it's not just in your head as in airy fairy, it is a physical situation.
Yes.
And once we realise that, then we can address it.
Yes.
And it doesn't mean you'll be on antidepressants or something forever, but, you know, and there's other ways to get help too. I mean, if you've got a real block mentally or something like that, consider hypnotherapy or all the other therapies that are out there. There's so many. Yeah.
And
Steps
there's
and positive input.
there is so many therapists of every sort you can imagine, and you can do it from home over the internet. So it is much easier now to find someone, to find a modality that fits with you, and to have it have consultations over the internet. Amazing.
Yes.
So yes, absolutely. Hang with positive people, control your mental input and output too.
Yes, that too. Well,
and seek help if you need it.
That's right. Yeah.
What are your plans moving forward, Dee?
Well, I don't plan on retiring, for one. I've never seen that as a goal. I don't know. I think I'd get bored. And my health condition means that I can't work physically for long hours. So my coaching business fits me perfectly. I'm launching an online course in December, and that will probably continue in managing other businesses, which I can all do from this desk here. And so I've managed to create a life that fits my limitations and expand otherwise. Yes. I have a lovely friend, fellow author and coach, Kawina Gordon from the Gold Coast, and she's just retired. She retired on her 93rd birthday. So I think that's what I aspire to.
Wow.
And like so many of you, for over 60 years, I gave all of myself for others. I was the oldest child, and I was that compliant child that, okay, if someone said no, I went, okay. And if someone said do this, I went and did that. And and I'm turning it around a little bit and doing some of the things that I really want to do. And it's on a fairer playing field. Yeah. So I plan on enjoying life and my work. And I hope others will join me and do the same.
Do the same. I think they sure will. That's for sure. I'll just touch on your book, Grand Plan Shattered, How to Turn Your Life Around After a Crisis. And I've read this book and it's excellent. It's actually a step-by-step guide to pick yourself up and turn yourself around, and exactly how to turn your life around after a crisis. So have you got any words of wisdom from that book that you'd like to share with us, or give us a couple of comments about your book?
I think the thing that is most important to remember is that I had life going in a particular direction. I knew that we couldn't afford to retire, and I knew I would have to work. So I set out a plan, and that plan was to go back to school, do matriculation again on different subjects, go to uni for 8 years part-time, which would require a lot of travel. I live over 200 kilometres from the city. And about now at 64, I would be ready to get a job for somebody else. And I was partway through my studies, beginning studies, when I fell ill. And then I was bedridden for 18 months. And I realised that, I was told I may not be able to do anything for the next 10, 20 years, maybe ever. So that was the shattering of that grand plan. And I had to sit down and work out what I could do. And I think sometimes we have this idea in our head and we want to stick with that particular track. Yeah. But maybe we're meant to be over here or over there. And so I guess the thing I want people to realise is that if you're thrown a real whammy, just step back and start to work out if there's something else you can draw out of this. And for me, in retrospect, it's nearly 10 years since I got sick. My life's in a completely different direction. I could not have imagined coaching. I didn't have the self-belief to think I could do that. But when I was coaching with Sharon Jerd, she turned around and said, "Oh, Dee, why aren't you coaching?" And I went, "Oh, I couldn't do that, you know." And she said, "God, girl, you've been doing it for decades without getting paid." And I went, "Woof, oh my goodness. Yeah, I have been." And so often women are already doing something that they're really good at, but they're not getting paid for it. Yeah. So be open to ideas, be open to something coming at you from another direction and go, "Oh, what's that?" And explore those random events and see where they take you.
Yes, because they say as one door closes or you think it's closing, another one is opening, and you're going down this direction, then all of a sudden a grant comes up that you can apply for and that sends you off this way or whatever. So it doesn't, I'm a little bit fixated, I suppose, and but yeah, I'm having to think, you know, you think, well, you're doing the work, you're going down this and this is the way you're going, but the universe may have decided before that quarter of the way down the track, it's going to send you this way, and you'll love it going that way. So yeah, we've got to be open and willing, and to look at opportunities.
That's right.
Something to do different in our lives.
And just look at the whole world in 2019.
Yeah.
Every person on earth was going, "I'm going to go and do this," or "I am doing this."
Yeah.
Beginning of 2020.
Yeah.
So much has changed.
Yeah, and it's a chance for all of us to, instead of going zoom, zoom, zoom down that path, is to, you know, put our head up and start to look around and go, wow, this changes everything, or it might change everything. What am I going to do? What do I want? What do I want to be, do and have?
Yes.
Yeah, so it has been a wake-up call for lots of people. So
that's right.
Sadly, in one way, that's for sure. But anyway, thank you very much, Dee, for coming on the program. I'll put Dee's details if you'd like to contact her or purchase her book at the end of this video. And you can easily connect with us on Facebook or anywhere on social media. I'm sure you'll find us, and there's our social media going off already. Okay, then thank you ladies for joining us today, and thank you Dee for coming on as well. Okay,
thank you so much, Susanna. I really love the work you're doing and the way that you help other people.
Oh, thank you. Lovely. We'll see you next time, ladies. Bye.
Bye-bye.